Dr. Minaji, and all other directors of the schools, all the participants who have joined this program. Uh, in fact, after listening Dr. Kupreti, my spontaneous reaction is that just my spontaneous reaction, because that nobody can stop, because I have my own opinions about it. She spoke on the history. Of course, towards the end, she was presenting a little different picture. But being an Indian and living in our country for sensibly after the last 5 decades, we see a sea change has taken place in this country with respect to women. Perhaps ours is the only country where women are worshipped. We say that Yadevi Sarvabhutesu Matrurupena Sansita, Yadevi Sarvabhutesu Sakti Rupena Sansita, Yadevi Sarvabhutesu Vidya Rupena Sansita, and what not. So we have respected women from the inception of the civilization, and we have worshipped. And I personally believe that we have paid highest respect to women in the society. Because whatever has been the research reports reveals, it happens everywhere. It happens with men also. It happens with women, it happens because whenever we have to live with society, these are the development express. But whenever we take women liberation, I have no comment on this issue, but our women are liberated in this country. In our country, we are doing everything. Look at the statistics, what Madam Sumitra ji Poteriti, that 81 MPs are women in this country. 30% seats are reserved for women and 50% seats are reserved for women. Look at the result of the examination, what women are doing. We are proud of it. And nowadays, the scenario has changed so much that even the parents like us are happy whenever a daughter is born with the family and a son. Because I still remember as a school-going children, I always quote it in my house because I have two sons. That our school teachers who used to teach us Sanskrit, he says, daughter is daughter throughout her life, son is son till he gets his wife. So मेरा जब second बच्चा भी बेटा हुआ था, मैंने मेरा मिसेस को बताया था, where is the daughter? So I always feel it. I realized it. And other issues, because Anchal ji baat kare. You know, I perhaps in 2007 or 8 when I was, I'm still in Ravi Shankar Shukla University. मृदुला सिन्हा जी आए थे जो गोवा का फॉर्मर गवर्नर थे. मैं भारत भूषण जी से शेयर कर रहा था. एक वुमेन्स डे सेलिब्रेशन हो रहा था because I was Director College Development Council, so I was supposed to be there. Vice Chancellor came. The discussion was, you know, we only talk about the history. We should talk about the present. Because, for example, marriage like society, the system, family is breaking. We should be very realistic about this. Always we give example that it is breaking because of the other side of the story. हम लोग हमेशा जब नेगेटिव स्टोरी का बारे में बात करते हैं, you know that builds up in our mind. Because हम लोग जो सिस्टम में पैदा हुए हैं, बढ़े हुए हैं और बढ़ेंगे, we should give a positive, rosy picture about our system. What I said, I mean it. I was in need of a daughter than a son. That's a different thing. Because daughter is daughter, you know, that is in my mind. So whenever I picked up a daughter-in-law for my house, first statement was you are legally now my daughter, not daughter by birth. Now you are more powerful than the daughter which you would have given birth. But things are changing. And what happens? I believe, because I sometimes teach psychology, human behavior. Whenever you continuously you speak, we develop a negative attitude about the things. ये दुनिया दो पहिया है, मेल फीमेल, मेन वीमेन, we have to live together. हमारा देश में हम ज्यादा इससे जीते बोलते नहीं, जीते भी हैं. और ऐसे कहते कहते ना कभी कभी साइकोलॉजिकल मैरिज इज एन इंस्टीट्यूशन which continues, which is strengthened. It is a psychological contract. It is an invisible contract. It cannot be seen, but it exists. But gradually it is breaking. It is declining. So time has come. This day should be celebrated to remind us each other's responsibility. That how we have to strengthen this family institution. Where कल में मेरे को नींद जल्दी खुल गया, मैं कुछ शॉर्ट फिल्म भी देख रहा था. We should not be spontaneous in our decision. We should remember our mothers. We should remember our sisters' contribution. I define management. Management is managing life, and we say management. Mother is the best manager in the world. Who is mother? Mother is not a man. Mother is a woman. So we should look at it. What is it? And how we have to build that bondage in this great country. We are not Americans. We are not Canadians. We are Indians. What I said, I mean that we respect mother. We respect women, and that should prevail in all the men. That feeling should be there. What our mother has given us, that feeling should prevail in our women also, so that we can have a strong family. We can have a strong society. Where we say discrimination, we should now, on this day, all of us should think that how this discrimination should vanish from the mind of men and women, so that we can have a healthy society. We can have a peaceful living. That is the requirement of the time. The way the things are changing because of the globalization, global competition. If we say there is discrimination, there is no discrimination. Discrimination is vanishing, at least in our country, because of the way the things are changing. The way, because what Mridula Sinha ji wo bhashan mein bole the, whatever I am today because of my husband. We say behind every successful man there is a woman. I also say the vice versa is also true. And जो position आज बदल रहा है समाज में, it is because there is behind them there is a man. There is a man. So हम आज का दिन में मेरे ख्याल फिर भी इस चीज के बारे में सोचने का टाइम है, आ गया है हम लोगों के पास, कि हम लोग ये सोचना चाहिए how there is no discrimination. There should be discussion on cooperation, collaboration, support, so that we should have a strong family bondage to build a healthy society, healthy family life, healthy world, so that we can give our best to the society before we leave the society. Thanks for giving me this opportunity to share. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Das, for sharing your views with us. There is no doubt that we are a mother worshipping culture, but women are also wives, sisters, daughters. That's good for women. Now, I want to invite the Vice Chancellor, Professor Mandeep Singh, to share his views with us. We'll be delighted to hear what he has to say.
आदरणीय श्री आत्मदास जी, श्री सुमित्रा जी, सभी इस कार्यक्रम के सहभागी, ये जो समाज है उसमें लगभग आधी संख्या महिलाओं की। हम प्राचीन समय से ही देखें तो भारतीय परंपरा में, चाहे वो रामायण का उदाहरण लें, चाहे महाभारत का, या कौटिल्य की, या शुक्र की, सब में महिलाओं को सम्मान दिया गया है। शक्ति के रूप में, दैवीय शक्ति के रूप में आज भी हम उनकी पूजा करते हैं, चाहे वो लक्ष्मी जी हो, सरस्वती जी हो, या माँ दुर्गा के विभिन्न रूपों में। केवल हमारे जो सनातन धर्म है उसी में नहीं, दुनिया के जितने भी धर्म है, चाहे वो ईसाई धर्म हो, चाहे वो इस्लाम धर्म हो या अन्य धर्म हो, सब में महिलाओं को सम्मान की दृष्टि से देखा गया है। लेकिन इस स्वास्थ्यमय व्यवस्था में पुरुष प्रधानता रही है और इसलिए उनको दूसरे दृष्टि से और कमजोर पक्ष के रूप में देखा जाता है। मध्यकाल में कुछ ऐसी परिस्थितियां आई कि जिसमें उनको मान लो पर्दा व्यवस्था और विभिन्न कुरीतियों की दिशा में धकेल दिया गया। मैंने अहिल्याबाई के बारे में, जो होलकर परिवार में महारानी भी बनी, बाद में एक सामान्य परिवार में, गढ़िया परिवार में पैदा हुई बच्ची, और उसकी कितनी अच्छी कुशाग्र बुद्धि थी, कितनी अच्छी उसने महिला शिक्षा के लिए जिद की। उसकी जो सासू माँ थी वो बाधक बनती थी उसमें, लेकिन ससुर ने उसमें सपोर्ट किया और वो महिला शिक्षा का एक उदाहरण बनी। उसने अर्थव्यवस्था में कैसे महिला भागीदार हो सकती हैं, वस्त्र उद्योग को उसने बढ़ावा दिया। कदम कदम पर उसको परेशानियां झेलनी पड़ी, लेकिन उसका दृढ़ निश्चय था कि उसने महिलाओं की भूमिका किस तरह की होनी चाहिए समाज में, राज्य में, वो साबित करके दिखा दिया। तो इसलिए ऐसा हमको सोचना पड़ेगा। महारानी लक्ष्मीबाई जिनका इतिहास में एक बहुत बड़ा उदाहरण है कि वो एक नारी शक्ति के रूप में उन्होंने राष्ट्र के लिए अपने को बलिदान किया और वो नारी शक्ति के रूप में एक प्रेरणा बनकर हमारे सामने आई। यही राजनीति के क्षेत्र में हम इंदिरा गांधी जी को ले सकते हैं, ब्रिटेन में हम मार्गरेट थैचर को ले सकते हैं, हमारे पड़ोसी देश बांग्लादेश में सत्ता पक्ष और विपक्ष दोनों में महिलाएं वहां की राजनीति को मजबूती के साथ संभाली हुई है। पाकिस्तान में भी इस तरह की स्थिति। एक हम अफगानिस्तान को उदाहरण देते हैं, तालिबान शक्ति है कि महिलाओं को न पढ़ने दे रहे हैं, आगे आने देते हैं, उनको पता नहीं इस तरह की क्या परेशानी है, और एक दुनिया के अन्य देश हैं वहां उनको हर सुविधाएं मिल रही। पहले युद्ध क्षेत्र में या लड़ाकू क्षेत्र में महिलाओं की भागीदारी को स्वीकार नहीं किया जाता था, लेकिन आज दुनिया के ज्यादातर देश इसको स्वीकार कर रहे हैं। हमारे देश में भी लड़ाकू विमान उड़ाने के लिए महिला पायलट आगे आई थी और उन्होंने अच्छा प्रदर्शन करके दिखाया। तो हमें अपनी जो पुरानी सोच थी उसको आज बदलने की आवश्यकता है, और हमारी जो ग्रामीण अर्थव्यवस्था है उस ग्रामीण अर्थव्यवस्था के अंतर्गत तो महिलाओं की पुरुषों से ज्यादा भागीदारी है। आप जब भी जाएंगे तो खेतों में काम करते हुए आपको महिलाओं की संख्या पुरुषों से ज्यादा दिखाई देगी। मेरा दक्षिण पूर्वी राजस्थान के बांसवाड़ा, डूंगरपुर, उदयपुर और वहां से मध्य प्रदेश, महाराष्ट्र, गुजरात, झारखंड में जाना हुआ। वहां जो जनजाति समाज है उसमें एक अच्छी परंपरा मैंने देखी कि उत्तर भारत के अंतर्गत तो लड़की को कितना भी अच्छा पढ़ा दो, नौकरी लगा दो, लेकिन शादी में दहेज देना पड़ता है। इस तरह की एक प्रथा प्रचलन में है। हो सकता है कुछ समाजों में नहीं हो, लेकिन ज्यादातर में इस तरह का है, और हमारे राजस्थान में तो बहुत ज्यादा। लेकिन उनमें लड़की वाले का सहयोग करते हैं लड़के वाले। मैंने जब पूछा कि ऐसा क्यों होता है, हमारे यहाँ तो ऐसा नहीं होता, तो उन्होंने एक तर्क दिया कि लड़की शादी होकर के हमारे परिवार से दूसरे घर में जाती है तो हमारे परिवार में, लड़की वाले परिवार में कमाने वाले 2 हाथ कम होते हैं और वहां 2 हाथ बढ़ते हैं। तो इसलिए उसकी पूर्ति के लिए ऐसा प्रावधान है। तो ये एक स्त्री को सम्मान देने की व्यवस्था यदि अच्छी हमें देखनी है तो उस क्षेत्र में जाकर के देख सकते हैं। तो इसलिए आज समाज को हर क्षेत्र में ये अपनी सोच को बदलना पड़ेगा कि महिलाएं मान लो पुरुषों से किसी भी क्षेत्र में कम नहीं है। जय हिंद, जय भारत।
थैंक यू प्रोफेसर महमूद सिंह मीना, बहुत अच्छी बातें आपने कही। स्त्रियां इस देश में पुरुषों से ज्यादा खासकर ग्रामीण श्रम करती हैं। उसका सिर्फ यह है कि श्रम, उस श्रम का मूल्य वो ठीक से नहीं लगता, और ये ही चीजें हैं जिसको लेकर लोग परेशान हैं। जो आपको डेटा दिया उसमें यही बातें कि एक नया पुराना डेटा याद दिला, दुनिया की संपत्ति में, दुनिया भर की संपत्ति सिर्फ 3% स्त्रियां हैं जो उसको ओन करती हैं, यानी कि उनके पास सिर्फ 3। और वो दुनिया का जो इनकम है उसमें उनकी भागीदारी जो कंट्रीब्यूट करती है वो है 60%। इसीलिए जब हम लोग इनइक्वालिटी की बात करते हैं तो ये फिगर बार बार और ये चेंज नहीं होता, दिक्कत नहीं होती। तो हम लोग इंटरनेशनल वुमेन्स डे इसलिए मनाते हैं ताकि हम जांचें हम कहाँ हैं, हम क्या कर सकते हैं, क्या कर पा रहे हैं। तो आज मुझे बहुत बहुत प्रसन्नता है कि हमारे प्रभाषण सभाएं अपने विचारों से हमें अवगत कराया। अब हम बढ़ते हैं उस प्रोग्राम की तरफ जहाँ पर मिसेस आशल कपूर जो एक्जीक्यूटिव डायरेक्टर हैं टीम की, उनको हम इनवाइट करें और उनको आज का भाषण करेंगे। मैं जल्दी से उनका एक छोटा सा बायोडाटा पढ़ देती हूँ। I welcome you personally. All of us have welcomed you. Again. Achal Kapoor has been working as a professional with a gender lens in the field of social development and human rights for the last 30 years. Achal's core expertise lies in capacity building and facilitation, process documentation, development communication and photography, program planning and organizational development, volunteering for social change, building community livelihoods, strategizing for corporate social responsibility. She works on the themes of gender and development, sexual harassment at the workplace, violence against women, labor, health, social justice, peace, environment, and livelihoods with a dignity. Having an MSc in Development Studies, Gender Social Policy Planning from London School of Economics and Political Science, LSE, Anjali is on POSH, that is Internal Committee for a few corporates and an NGO member, and advises on cases as well as conducts post trainings among the organizations she has been closely working with, include ILO, an institution for which I have great respect, PFI, SCF, UN Women, GREAT, UNFPA, DFID, Oxfam, RIA, Action Aid, ICRW, Breakthrough, Sama, Jagori, ISCOM, and others. Most of these institutions work with us in the schools. I'm very happy that we come in the same direction. There's a whole lot of things, but just I think it's so unclear. I simply want to say that please give us your thoughts, and you are dealing with a very important issue. As Professor Kirby has pointed out, mental issue is a perennial condition originating because of discriminatory behavior in the patriarchal system that we are at the moment. So, kindly go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me? I'd like to start with wishing all the little girls and some little boys that you can see here a happy Women's Day and a happy Gender Equality Day, because it's for everyone. Yeah. And all of you, happy Women's Day. Since I don't know all the names, I'll just say thank you for inviting me to all the seniors and the professors and the peers and all the other families and other people who are here. It's a privilege to be here at the university. I am an academic in my thought and practice, so it's always great to be in university spaces. So when I was given this topic of gender and mental health at the workplace, I was thinking about it as being so important, particularly in the COVID pandemic context. Because I think mental health issues for all genders have actually risen to or have come to the fore much more than we ever knew. And at the same time, the context has also given many people an opportunity to go into mindfulness or peace exceptions and kind of sort of unpack their lives and look at the causes of stress and mental health problems that they have. So when I sort of started thinking about this, of course, the hashtag Break the Bias for the International Women's Day came to the fore to me. Breaking the bias on gender aspects, yes, but also breaking stigma around mental health issues. Breaking the stigma on mental health issues, because पहले ज़माने में जब भी हम ये वर्ड नहीं यूज करते थे तो किसी का कोई अनकंफर्टेबल होते थे या किसी कुछ अलग लॉस्ट होते थे या व्हाटएवर या टेंशन में होते थे, पागल हो गए या उनका दिमाग खराब हो गया, something is wrong in the head, right? So it was stigmatized. That was, and then from there we moved to a point where we started talking about mental illness. Mentally ill हो गए, डिप्रेशन है मतलब मेंटली इल हो गए. वो लोचा तारे जमीन पर देखा है, केमिकल लोचा हो गया है, राइट? बट वो केमिकल लोचा तो हमने वो शब्द बाद में सुना, but it was always mental illness. And I think as a society we graduated in a good way to the fact that today we are talking about mental health. That this is a very significant part of our health as a human being, as a woman, as a man, as any other gender. Yeah. And I think that's what we really need to also focus on when we talk about it. Because across genders, there are mental health issues. And so for me, when I'm actually talking to you today, I'm moving to a space where there is affirmative action towards women, because we are marking Women's Day and we are looking at mental health issues of women at the workplace. But the journey that we have traversed is this, that we are now moving to looking at men and women in this space. So the terminology of gender, for those of you who know and don't, emerged because feminism was being considered a bad word. And it was like feminists break homes, break marriages, right? And they're bra burning and all of that. I'm using that word very consciously just to be political a little bit, yeah? But I think that we have moved in that journey where gender started to actually be looked at from an equality perspective. So we started working with women with an equality lens. And now, 25 years later, we have reached a point that पुरुष पीछे छूटे जा रहे हैं. पुरुषों को साथ में लेके चलना है. So therefore, to kind of flip the coin and say, let's work on what that term gender is about, which is a social construct that determines how men and women both think how they are socialized. So today's presentation and a little bit of the conversation I'm going to share with you is going to look at mental health as the issue, as the subject, and the focus, and the manifestations of that, but applying a gender lens, which to me is looking at women and men and the different effects that they have on them. Because I think all of you men who are here, I have fraternity with you as well. Yeah? Because I think the responsibility and the way the society is created, it puts the patriarchal burden on you. And I'm saying that consciously. You are socialized to be the breadwinner. You have to take charge. So the pressures that you face are there, and then women face the pressures, but they also face discrimination. So I think from a women's perspective, we have the inequality, injustice, discrimination. And from the male perspective, we have this responsibility angle, both of which cause mental health issues. Yeah, okay, why should we talk about this? Somebody said before, women constitute 50% of the population. Women are a very critical part of the workforce. And so there is a demand for diversity and inclusion. Yeah? We talk about it at the workplace because work culture and reputation vis-a-vis how we deal with mental health issues plays on employee retention. That is, and women's retention particularly, right? Women have a right to life and work free of violence and free of harassment, which then causes mental health issues, right? And we have the POSH Act. The government has provided a POSH Act, which is looking at sexual harassment at the workplace as a particular specific focus, but we cannot deny the link between that and mental health issues. So everyone knows this, but I'm just putting it out for us to kind of see. I'm just going to read a few issues here. Anxiety, we say tension hai, har waqt tension, hopelessness feel kar raha hai. How are our faces feeling? Are we feeling stressed? Those words we are constantly hearing, right? Fatigue we are constantly. Burnout, we're constantly looking at, but we're not recognized. Now, you may think burnout is some abstract word and has no connection with mental health, because mental health is about something is wrong here. But the fact is, burnout is an indication of the fact that you are mentally now unable to do a lot of stuff and your health is suffering because of that. And then, of course, sleep. नींद नहीं आती है? क्यों नींद नहीं आती है? Right? These are all different manifestations of all the kind of problems that we may be facing. And it could come from workplace, very importantly for those who work outside, because how many hours of our day do we spend at work? How many hours do you spend at work? Anybody? How many hours have you been spending working in the last 2 years of the pandemic online? Almost 18 to 20 hours. Across sector, it's almost as if you've got this captive audience and we have nothing else to do. Because when we went to our workplace, we went in the morning, we did our home stuff, we went for a walk, we did our cooking, whatever, and things. We went to the gym, etc. We went to work, we came back, we had something to do. But 24/7, we were in the home and we couldn't even deal with each other in our families. And so what we could deal with was the computer. But what we were dealing with along with the computer were all the pressures that the workspace was giving us, the workplace was giving us. And we were like, yes, we'll do it because we wanted to consume our time. Because that was the way. So the kind of stress that caused us is actually now witnessing, because now when you see people coming back to work, it's quite challenging for a lot of people. The orientation has shifted. Right? So it's another kind of a thing to look at next. So I'm just trying to bring our focus to why the workplace and what we need to look at. We need to look at individual employees. We need to look at organizational structure and working environment. Often we put the blame of any problem on individuals, right? But we all work in a meta system. And that meta system operates on our minds and our bodies and our feelings to actually make us feel and behave and work in a certain way. So I think at workplaces to actually tackle these aspects, these three circles is very important. And I would say that a gender sensitive approach towards mental health is the way to go at workplaces. Because if you just do that with these three components, you'll actually be able to create something will go faster, something will go slower, something might be easier, something will be more difficult, which is fine. And I think the important thing is why are we focusing at the workplace? Because we want all of us to perform well. We want to be productive. We want our institutions to be productive, right? We want to be able to give the best quality education to the students who are coming here. We want to be able to have our intellectual capacities enhanced. So it's our productivity. And to have an environment where we are valued, we are respected, there is equality, and there is dignity of work. Do I, as a woman worker, feel I have my workplace gives me dignity of work? Because if it doesn't, if I don't have that respect, if I don't have the value, then it's going to cause me mental health problems. Next. So what's the gender lens to working with? I just put out 2 examples because I actually wanted to show you some videos with, there's less time, but just to give you an example. Look at this first example. It's a young woman who's in her first job and she's talking to you who is a friend of hers in the workplace. Fear. Okay, no hierarchies here. You notice that her confidence and focus at work has reduced. After the first 6 months, when she seemed very energetic and excited, and you ask her, she's nervous and disturbed all the time. You ask her, and she starts sobbing. And she says that she's scared of a colleague who misbehaves. She's disturbed, she's nervous, she's lost her energy, she's lost her confidence. She is feeling, I am the cause. I did something wrong. And she's thinking, I'm going to be characterized in a certain way. And that's playing on her. Right? The fact that there's a case in question, that is a lecture on sexual harassment specifically, which is another area. And I've had to be very conscious to try and stay with this pain because I do a lot of washed work. And, it's kind of intuitive for me to get into that space. Now let's look at the next one. And I'm saying man because I want us to focus on women. IIT degree talks to you as a friend. It could be a male worker or woman. You notice that he's quiet at the workplace. Women will cry, men will be quiet. Because that's socialization. Men are told that crying is not for boys. And so they went, so they quiet. They might be angry and irritable. Right? And his energy levels have gone down. When asked repeatedly, he shares that he's being asked to do all the administrative jobs of a senior. He is feeling mentally stressed because what he came for with his IIT degree, he's in a management company, he's not seeing his career advancement happening. He can't see that happening, and he knows that if he says no, he may lose his job. And that's it. Now, let's think about a man like this who's facing the mental health pressure and the problem that this situation is posing. So a gender lens to women and men workers at our workplace will enable us to see that it's not all hunky-dory for men either. As much as it is not for women. But again, putting the focus that women have to face the pressure within the workplace and at home. Men can get away to some extent at home. So the pressure cycle, if you do a 1 to 10, you might grade it differently for men. Let's go ahead. Yeah. So different situations among male and female colleagues can trigger mental health problems at the workplace is what I'm saying. But I want to bring our attention to the fact that organizational structure, working conditions, workplace safety issues, policies, etc. are also factors that play on here. slide? Can you pull that film? So I have a short film. अच्छा बाद में ठीक है end में करते हैं ठीक है छोड़िए. So mental health at work, how it's affected, like what happens? So stress, burnout, bullying, harassment. You know, we only hear about bullying when ragging happens in college, but bullying happens at the workplace. Okay, so this is the individual part of the circle. Yeah. The second is the gender-sensitive insensitive work policies, work rules, and expectations from men. A woman in a particular hierarchical position and a man in a same hierarchical position, the expectations and the role they play is different. Let's recognize it. And that is not just the fault of the institution. I'm not putting out any fault lines here. I'm saying this is how the system is. This is how society has the socialization from the family to the workplace carries. Are we willing to address this? Is the question being asked. And the third is the working environment, working conditions part. So that's that part of the circle. Yeah. Now I'm making this difference here. Okay, and every one of us may have different interpretations, and this list can increase and decrease, whatever. But I've done some linearity to the. If you look at it, for women, it's sexual harassment, safety, leave, flexible timings for support structures, especially during pregnancy and early motherhood, and till the child is sort of able to walk. They don't have a dadi, nani, nana, dada, taken there, or whatever, care, nannies. Work-life balance, personal finances, career growth, and burnout. जब औरत बिल्कुल नहीं कर पाएगी, burnout हो जाएगी, तब वो एंड में होएगा, खत्म सब कुछ जो हैंडल कर लिया ना उसके बाद होएगा. For men, bullying, career growth, the fact that I'm not getting promoted, all of that, personal finances, work-life balance, and burnout. Yeah. So I'm sorry we don't have much time for discussion because I do need to continue and finish quickly. How much time do I have? 5 minutes? Okay, I'm going to go quickly. Okay, I'm not getting into stress, and just to kind of put these out quickly, let's just go. But I want to bring some highlights to the aspects here. Lack of support at work, lack of control over your work. जो आपका काम है, अगर आपको वो काम जैसे आप करना चाहते हैं या कर सकते हैं नहीं करने दिया जाता है या स्पेस नहीं है, that will cause mental health issues. आगे चलिए. How gendered are these factors is what we need to think about. Yeah, burnout we've said is excessive and prolonged stress. Okay, and you lose interest and motivation. Let's go ahead. The differences just in terms of what happens. Stress you are able to live with. You'll continue to live with. Burnout, you're done. You're disengaged completely. You're numb. You get to that point when you're numb. Yeah? Let's go. Lack of recognition is a very, very critical point at the workplace that we need to look at when we look at burnout. And working too much is another one. Physically working too much. Online working too much. Let's go ahead. Bullying. Bullying is acts of aggression, hostility, social isolation, and disrespect. I think this is again something that we really need to look at, how bullying happens. It's almost insidious sometimes. It's unsaid. It's almost like sexual harassment, but I wish we had a law on that actually. Let's go ahead. Humiliating each other, people, gossiping, rumors, excluding, ignoring, etc. Let's go ahead. This we know, but I just put it. The third and most important one for stress for women, particularly when we're looking at affirmative action for women. Yes. So the third important one that we're talking about here, specifically from a women's perspective, is the fact that stress and mental health issues are caused due to harassment. And we know this, many of you know the sexual harassment prevention law, so I won't get into that, but it is gestural, physical, verbal, and others. Next. So workplace harassment can take these different forms. Verbal, psychological, digital, particularly now that we are all online, physical, gesture-based, and sexual. Let's go ahead next. Okay, now this one. This is important. I'm going to spend a little time on it. Employees. What is the advice for employees? What is the advice for all of us who work? That we look at what is the cause of our mental health issues. What is the reasons that we are facing these things? For instance, if we are facing personal and professional issues, are we bringing them to the workplace, and is that affecting us, right? What kind of support do you get? What kind of training do you receive? Next. What actions you can take? Here, I think I would say that talking is my first one. I think talking to people, even if it is peers, I think we create barriers along with the structures that create barriers. Structure is ye hai, right? The Maslow's theory of hierarchies. Remember that? But I think as human beings, we connect. Outside of this room, I will connect with you differently as I would connect with you in this space. But I think to create really good, happy, mentally healthy workplace structures, we can start doing that. So next. Employers. This is important. Recognizing, recommending, and redressing the concerns of the staff. That is actually, if we do the first one, we're really good as employers. We would really be able to handle a lot of the mental health issues that come up next. I'm not repeating this, just have a look. Yeah, next. Yeah. Advice for all of us: respecting diversity, creating inclusion, maintaining a free and fair atmosphere, supporting each other, speaking out, and growing collectively. Because when we grow collectively, we will be mentally sane and not insane. Let's go ahead. Pledges today. I think this is the pledges that we can make today as affirmative action on Women's Day, which is upholding women's right to work with dignity, creating safe spaces for women to be heard, recognizing verbal and non-verbal behavior, creating a healthy atmosphere at the workplace in terms of timings, listening circles, support systems, etc. Next. Okay, let's go ahead. Next one. Hashtags. Break the bias, break the silence, break the stigma. Happy Women's Day. I have a short 5-minute video. I'd really like you to see it. I think it's just very quick, but I think it'll just bring this all together. So if you don't mind. Yeah.
இந்திய அரசியலமைப்பு சட்டத்தை முதல்ல அறிமுகப்படுத்தி பேசிய டாக்டர் ராஜேந்திர பிரசாத் வந்து இந்த இந்திய அரசியலமைப்பு சட்டம் என்பது ஒரு உயிரற்ற ஜடம். இதை வந்து உயிரோட்டமாக வைப்பது அப்படிங்கிறத அது யார் கையில் இருக்குதோ அதை பொறுத்து தான் வந்து அது உயிரோட்டமாகும் அப்படிங்கிறத சொன்னார்.